Da-na-na, da-na-na,
We're live.
da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na.
July 1st.
Back like we never left. It's Double Move Sports coming at you live on a beautiful Friday afternoon, heading into the July 4th weekend. And Alex, it's July 1st. It's not June. It's not January. The dead period for redraft season is over. The rookie picks are in. We've analyzed those. We've done all the dynasty mocks. We're in startups right now with guys in the community ready to go toe-to-toe with the Double Move Sports fam. Shout out to our boy, Lance Kirby. He's in the chat right now. He's the absolute homie. He put this thing together for us, organized the community, rallied the troops. And with it being redraft season, we thought, what better than a redraft mock to start the season against the community. So no more of this bot competition that we're playing against on the Fantasy Pros mock draft simulator. No more egregious kickers taken in the 7th round. This is real. These are real people sitting behind the keyboard, ready to go toe-to-toe with your boys here at Double Move. We'll get into player analysis. We will have takes on takes on takes for you as we go through this redraft season. But today we want to talk about some player values. I'm sure we're going to see where some tier breaks are, where some of the tough decisions are in this draft. I'll get into sharing the draft board in a minute, but Alex, you ready to get into this thing?
This is going to be fun, man. I mean, you hit it on the head. This is going to be fun. It's July. It's redraft season. Look, we're transitioning over from mostly dynasty content that we've had all offseason. There's going to be plenty more dynasty content through the regular season. That's something we're going to focus on this year. But of course, as we get ramped up, training camps kicking off later this month, we're going to get into these mock drafts. We're going to get into the redraft players that we love, that we hate. And what better way than to start it out with a live mock draft with the community? You said it. And if you're watching and you're saying, hey, I want to get in one of these mock drafts and have these guys roast my team or try to show us up, we'll see what happens. Just join that Discord in the link below. We're going to have many more of these to come, and you can mock draft against us next time.
So I'm going to start sharing the screen here, and we'll get this mock draft underway. Looks like we will have one bot to play against. Hopefully, we'll see some folks join in last second here. That'd be dope. But shout out to the 111 spot. That'll be an auto draft. Make it easy for us today. I'm drafting from the 106. You're at the 103. So I'm in the mid rounds. You're near the front. I think you're going to have a fun decision to make. And I think probably the reason you went with the 103 is because you can let the other two guys make the decision for you at the very beginning.
And I joined late. I mean, that's honestly why I joined so late. You forgot to send me the link, so I got kind of stuck with it.
So this is a PPR redraft mock. It is non-super flex. It is not tight end premium. Shout out to everybody playing Dynasty who's used to that format. But this is a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex spots, a quarterback. And that's it. So nothing too fancy here. No kicker, no defense. We'll get into some of that. Really, when you're drafting, it's, hey, who has the best week 1 matchup? We're doing it a minute and a half per pick. So hope everybody in the chat right now is watching along.
Don't take the full minute and a half, please.
Please don't. But it might give us some time to actually drop some takes here. And shout out to Kirby. He's going Jay Cutler at the 107, smoking Jay Cuddy. I love it.
JT 101. Love to see it.
So already starting off with some chalk. And I don't really have an analysis to throw out here other than you're probably going to go with Cooper Kupp, right?
I think there's an argument to be made for CMC at the 101, but after last year, I like the JT pick. That's how I would have picked, and I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. You know, I love locking up the elite running backs early, but I do think after doing some underdog drafts and things like that, there is some running back depth as you get into the late second, into that 3rd round. So I hope someone comes back to me, and I'm just going to hope Cooper Kupp picks up where he left off last season, get that premium upside at the receiver spot. I think, you know, Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all really, really good arguments to go in like the top 6 or 7 picks this year, which in years past, it's typically running back until like pick 7 or 8.
Now, Alex, I want to talk about this decision. I knew this was going to happen. For me right here, it's Jamar Chase and Austin Eckler. It's pick your poison. Are you trying to go more of the hero RB? Are you worried about the running back scarcity? Or Jamar Chase, go for the upside ceiling shot, a guy who had an insane rookie season, could build upon it in year 2 and is right there with Justin Jefferson in Dynasty and redraft, to be honest. And there's so much more potential in this Bengals offense since they have brought in those offensive pieces. So, look, I'm going to go Jamar Chase here because I do think there's a tier break. To me, Austin Eckler would be the pick here at running back. But I think there's guys that are close enough to Eckler, whether it's a Dalvin Cook, whether it's a Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, that I'm willing to take there if we just want these pass-catching running backs that have 20 touchdown upside.
Chase is the clear end of the tier for me. I think the tier 1 receivers this year are Kupp, Jefferson, and Chase. So you can make an argument sometimes a tier 2 running back. It's hard to call, Eckler, Najee Harris, those kind of guys tier 2, but you can make the argument they're more valuable. But I love just chasing the upside, no pun intended, with Jamar Chase. I mean, I think Derrick Henry at the 104, that's a big bet on him getting back to health and that Titans offense operating the same way this season. And then I think, Eckler and Najee Harris makes sense. I've been fading Najee a little bit. I was high on him early in the offseason, but now hearing he might not get as many snaps, knowing it could be a rookie quarterback, knowing the offensive line didn't get any better, you're just banking on so much volume in Pittsburgh. It does make me a little bit nervous, but with that volume, absolutely can't blame him going at the 108.
What a running back run. Yeah, no Stephon Diggs, no Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb at the 112. Shout out to our boy Stebbs. I'm not about that. I'm not about that Chubb pick. I think that's way too early for Chubb, especially with no Deshaun Watson in that offense. It's scary. Kareem Hunt's still there. Jacoby Brissett to me is a downgrade from Baker Mayfield.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's got to be a downgrade. And it's not that I don't like Chubb. It's just the upside isn't there. We know what the deal is with Chubb. He doesn't catch passes. Hopefully he gets some touchdowns. But if Watson's out for the whole season, the touchdown upside is going to be lower. So that makes me nervous. Steph, what do you think about this bot here going DeAndre Swift and then Travis Kelce at the 202? Honestly, I don't mind that start.
Shout out to this bot.
I love the Diggs pick. Jimmy Jean, our boy, with the 110. I love what you did here. Mixon, you still get that high-end running back, and then you come around with Diggs, who to me, I think Diggs is going to finish as a top 5 receiver this year. I know people were down on him last year, didn't have as many pop games, but I love Stephon Diggs in Dynasty and for redraft, so I think getting him there in the second round is
I'm putting Diggs
fun.
Over Adams as that fourth receiver, and I would put him over. For me, it's Swift versus Diggs at the end of the first round. And it just depends on what kind of roster build, what I think the league is going to do. I'm so upset. Shout out to our boy, Lil Mixon. Took Aaron Jones.
I wanted him to fall to me. I knew he wouldn't, but I just kind of wanted him to because I love taking him, Steph, especially where you are. If you could go Jamar Chase, Aaron Jones, a guy who could be a top 5 back, that would have been a tremendous start. Tyreek is spicy. Wow.
Now, that was a reach on Tyreek. Shout out to Kirby there. I'd love to hear some takes in the Discord, Kirby, why you went Tyreek Hill so early, because I don't know how Miami's going to sustain all these pass catchers with Waddle, with even Gesicki still there, who was commanding decent target share last year, and now you add Tyreek into the mix. I know Tyreek Hill's been hyping up Tua like it's his job, but I just don't see it. It's probably, well, I won't say probably. It is somewhat possible that Teddy Bridgewater is the starter by the end of the season.
Okay, come on.
I'm just saying, what has Tua done to solidify his role?
There's a 10% chance. I'll say.
I'm leaning Saquon Barkley here as one of these just stud running backs that has a ton of upside. I know he was hurt last year. We've talked about him a lot as a buy in dynasty leagues. I like Fournette here as well. Might look at a Mark Andrews. But I think I'm just going to go with your first option, right? Don't overthink it here. Yes, Kamara would be fun, but suspended the first 6 games of the season. So I'm not trying to buy a guy in the second round who could miss half the year.
You're making life hard on me, man. I was kind of hoping Saquon would get back to me. He's the running back I had my eye on, but yeah, there goes Fournette too. But while I have the floor, I'll say if you're with us, if you're watching, hit that like button. That helps us a ton. So if you're here, it doesn't hurt you to make that extra click. It's absolutely free. And I'm also going to say for those of us drafting here today, at the end of the draft, we're going to run through all the teams and give a quick grade, what we like and what we don't like. So that's going to be really fun too. But here you took the guy I wanted in Saquon. I think I can probably wait and get one of these running backs early in the third. There's only 4 picks between me and my next pick. So I'm going to take another receiver, start out receiver, which I normally don't like to do. In a 12-team league, though, I think I want the upside, and I'm going with Mike Evans. We were just talking before the show how he's going to absolutely feast this season. And with Brady only having him and really Russell Gage for probably the first 8 weeks of the year at minimum. I mean, Evans could go absolutely nuclear. So Cup Evans, man, I'm just loading the upside at receiver, and I'm gonna have to fade it soon because I think there's really good value there. 7th, 8th, 9th round. So I'm gonna have to scoop some running backs here. Hopefully Phil and Jack don't snipe them all from me on this turn.
Ooh, interesting. Cam Akers.
That's early for Akers. Yeah, that's early for Akers.
I'm an Akers guy, so I don't think it's that much of a reach. But what's your thought on that, Alex?
I think Akers above some of the names on the board is just a little early. I mean, if he hits, that's going to be a bargain. If he hits, he should have gone in the top 5. But there's just such inherent risk there with Cam Akers coming off that injury. It's not necessarily an opportunity thing. I think it's just a performance thing. If he's the back we saw at the end of last year, probably isn't going to be the starter by the end of the season. But if he is back to the Cam Akers we all know and love, could be an absolute steal at the 211. So I think he probably could have at least waited and got him at the 302 if he really wanted him. But he's going RB heavy. Look, McCaffrey, Akers, Javonte. So maybe he has some tolerance built in with Akers, where if Akers busts, he's going to be okay at the running back spot. And then if Akers hits, I mean, he's going to be absolutely set. So I'm back on the clock here. Oh, wow. I wasn't looking at who I wanted. Yeah, this is easy for me.
We get host privilege, Alex. Let me know if we need a pause. We can do that.
No. I think this is easy for me. I went receiver. I'm actually glad I did. I like some of the names on the board. I like Keenan Allen. I like T. Higgins. But I can pick up some receiver names later for my 2 flex spots. I'm not going to reach on Kyle Pitts here. I don't want any of the tight ends. I'm not going Josh Allen. So I am going to go running back. And I'm just going to go with someone that should be stable. I'm going Ezekiel Elliott. I know his name's been kind of dragged through the mud, especially in the dynasty communities and things. But look, even if Tony Pollard is more involved, I think Ezekiel Elliott could and should be an RB1 this year. No, he's probably not going to have those pop 30-point weeks, but he should just be able to secure you 15 to 20 points a game. Last year, he was still the PPR running back 7, and everyone said he sucked. 4.2 yards per carry, was still used in the receiving game. So I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be fine. They lose Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup's hurt. They might rely on the running game a little bit more this season. He's going to be fully healthy going into the season. Zeke should be a top 12 running back if he plays the whole year. So that's just an easy, stable pick for me at RB1.
So James Conner at the 305, really glad that happened, to be honest, because he was a name I was like, I could probably wait around and get him. But to see him already go means now I'm a little nervous that the running back thirst is creeping up more and more and more. Let's see who's on the board if there's a big drop-off here. I've been memed over and over again that I love Antonio Gibson well above ADP. I do, but I'm still not taking him 3rd round.
Thank you.
I still don't want Kamara. Breece Hall would be an interesting upside shot here, but let's see who's on the board at receiver because, and what do you know? Receivers so deep. There's still alpha wide receiver ones. There's guys that are going to get potentially 30% plus target shares on the board still. For me, it's between Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman, maybe Terry McLaurin now that he got the big contract extension. I'm going to go for maybe one of the safer picks of those 3 and just go with Keenan Allen. He's top of the board here, but look,
solid.
He's the wide receiver 1 on a loaded Chargers offense. I'm expecting them to be in shootout after shootout in the AFC West against the Chiefs, against the Broncos with Russell Wilson, against the Raiders with Adams and Waller there. And Keenan's a safe play, right? Banking on the guys that have just done it year after year after year should and is, to me, the right move at this point in the draft. So Josh Allen and Kyle Pitts at this stage is very interesting. Now, Alex is frozen. Shout out. Can't justify Saquon over Fournette. Well, look, it looks like Alex is dealing with some technical difficulties. I'm going to hit pause on the draft real quick. He actually just texted me and said, my Wi-Fi just exploded on the whole block. So technical difficulties. This is the nature of going live. When you go live, things like this happen, but I can filibuster a little bit while we wait for Alex to join us again and talk about Saquon over Fournette. Here's my thing with Fournette. He's old. They just drafted a running back behind him. And while we can rely on Lenny to get pass catching work, Saquon was getting the same amount of pass catching work before he re-injured midseason in that Dallas game, rolled the ankle. He was still getting tremendous volume through the air, and the efficiency on the ground has been a concern, but the Giants just came in and had one of the best drafts, loading up the trenches, getting Tavon Thibodeau, getting Evan Neal. I really like the way that the Giants are building. Now, around Daniel Jones, it's horrible, right? Danny Dimes is going to cap the offense. I completely understand that. But to me, Saquon is the clear number one on that depth chart in New York. He's in a contract year, so he needs to show out. And although he's coming off injury, I still believe in the talent. We've seen Saquon, and coming into the league, he was a generational prospect. He's doing things that we had not seen before at the running back position in college and in his rookie year. I'm hoping he can recapture that magic in a contract year in the NFL. Hoping we can see the repeat of that rookie season where he had in his rookie year, over 1,300 rushing yards, 5 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns on the ground, and 121 targets. Look, I love Leonard Fournette. Okay, Paulie, I love Leonard Fournette. I've been ahead of consensus on Fournette. Last year, I was smashing on Fournette in the 5th, 6th round when his ADP was in the 7th, 8th. I was 2 rounds ahead of ADP on Leonard Fournette. But now going in the 2nd round for a guy he just hasn't been that efficient. I know he's used through the air a ton. Brady trusts him in the air a ton. But we have not seen that efficiency through the air. Even when he got 100 targets in Jacksonville, we never saw efficiency through the air for Leonard Fournette. Even guys that we don't think of as prototypical pass catchers like Jonathan Taylor, like even Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, are much more efficient than Leonard Fournette as receivers. So when you get them in open space, these guys are going to get a lot more yardage out of those receptions, even if they are short checkdowns that are happening. So that's why I go Saquon over Fournette. I just think Saquon has a little more spark, has a little more juice, and can break off big plays, whereas Lenny's going to be more of that grinder type role. Granted, we did see Lombardi Lenny show out, but he is showing up to camp a little bit overweight. It seems like the way that Fournette likes to treat his offseason is, or at least like to treat the OTA kind of camp season, is his get back in shape period, which is a little bit concerning for me. Whereas you see Saquon on the gram working out, going hard, looking like the lowest body fat percentage of his career, just absolutely jacked out of his mind. That's the excitement for me with Saquon, and that's why I believe the higher upside lies, even though I know the situations are vastly, vastly different. And yeah, I must say, I agree with Don Juan here, man. Getting Leonard Fournette and Derrick Henry, I think is a really fun start to a draft. T. Higgins, I took Jamar Chase at the 106. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase could be neck and neck by the end of the season. So I really like that T. Higgins pick there. I probably would have gone Higgins over Keenan Allen as well if I didn't have Jamar Chase on this roster. So maybe I could have gone Eckler, Barkley, Higgins. And I think that would have been a fine start to this draft as well. Yeah, that rookie season with Saquon, was absolutely nuts. Nuts, man. Like, literally his first carry in the NFL was an outside run that he took 50 yards. So just let that sink in. And what do you know? In the nick of time, I'm running out of content.
Nothing like live TV, am I right?
Well, I'm glad you're back. Take a deep breath. Okay, reset the Wi-Fi. Get locked in because we're going right back into this thing.
There was like an explosion outside, and then all of a sudden everything went dark. So I'm just happy to be here. Let's see what I missed.
A lot of the guys that I was looking at, the Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman type names, did go off the board. Kyle Pitts at the 308. It's a little bit spicy by our boy Mixon there, but I don't hate it. If you're ready to take the upside shot, I'm just not a guy that's going to go towards the tight end position. We did see Josh Allen go in the middle of the 3rd round. I think that's fine value for first quarterback off the board. But again, I'm not an early quarterback guy. I don't claim to know the perfect way to build a roster. There's so much variance and randomness in fantasy anyways that no one can claim to know the perfect, right, or cheat code to win fantasy leagues as far as roster construction. But when we just play the value game, the point discrepancy between the QB1 and the QB12 is a lot lower than the RB1 and the RB12. So I'm not going to go quarterback early. I'd much rather wait till the double-digit rounds and get a Trevor Lawrence, And we might see a guy like a Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers fall into the late rounds as well. But Alex, you ready for me to hit the start button here?
Yeah, thanks for pausing it for me. I honestly thought I'd come back to a bunch of trash auto picks, so this is a blessing.
Debs, I hope you're there, ready to pick here. You've had some extra time, so there's a lot going into this pick, and he does go Deontay Johnson. Really like that pick there. Interesting Jalen Waddle pick. I don't know, man. I think both Waddle and Tyreek are going, I mean, in this mock that we're doing, around ahead of where I would personally take them. I just don't know how Tua is going to open this offense up, man, especially when they have a San Francisco scheme and they're signing all these running backs. It's like, this is going to be the San Francisco 49ers recreated, and we've seen them struggle to sustain two productive fantasy players at the same time.
Why is Waddle going in front of like Courtland Sutton?
Facts.
Why?
Facts.
I have no idea why.
Even DJ Moore, man. DJ Moore's going to get a 30% plus target share and over 1,000 air yards easily.
It's crazy.
Great value there. Shout out to Jim Jean on Travis Etienne. I was hoping he would fall to me here. And there goes Breece Hall. I'm bummed about that. I probably would have gone Montgomery behind Hall and Etienne just because they have more pass catching upside, a little bit more juice. Montgomery's just kind of been this between the tackles grinder. He's a volume play. He's the safe play. You know, he gets called David Ma opportunity, all that kind of stuff. Like he's just going to get touches, and that's about it. And then we see Gibson go. So another running back run. This hurts as somebody who only has one running back, and it's Saquon Barkley. I don't feel very stable at the running back spot. So I'm sweating a little bit here. Hopefully Cholesterol Fingers doesn't go with the running back. And what do you know? There goes J.K. Dobbins.
I'm worried about Dobbins. Honestly, but
yeah, word just came out. He's not going to participate in the preseason, so we might see J.K. Dobbins start the year out on the pup or on limited
Saquon-esque of last year and all those question marks. So it makes me a little nervous. I still think he could be fine, but not what you want to see.
I'm projecting Dobbins to get that ease-in treatment. But look, you'll left me no choice. It's either Josh Jacobs or bust. Let's see who's there at wide receiver. I mean, a lot of really good names here. To be honest, I don't see a huge difference between like the Courtland Suttons, the Allen Robinsons, the Mike Williams of the world, even Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore, guys are in bad situations, but are going to be in target funnels. And then even DK Metcalf, he's good, right? And he had his best games last year with Geno Smith at quarterback. So he's kind of QB proof to me. So I am going to take the last guy in this tier. It is a little bit early for my liking, and I don't necessarily love Josh Jacobs, but in a loaded offense that's going to be in shootouts.
It's a good pick.
I'm stacking him with that Keenan Allen AFC West stack.
I needed him to fall to me, man. Now I got nobody. You sniped me on Jacobs is solid. I mean, last year was a top 12 running back, only played 15 games, was even banged up and left a couple games early. He gets passing work. Nothing has changed in Vegas other than they added a fourth-round rookie who should not scare anyone off of Josh Jacobs, and they're going to be a much better offense. So Josh Jacobs, instead of 9 touchdowns, could be 12, could be 15 this year. I think Jacobs is a great pick. Great RB2. I wanted him, and now there's no one. I can't take a running back for like 2 rounds because there's no one worth it, so it's tough.
This year, this is where the RB dead zone is. After that 4th round, you're best just not touching a running back for 2 rounds and go with a Pollard, go with a Dillon, even go with like a Chase Edmonds, take a shot on a James Cook, something like that.
Facts, Lance. That is just straight facts. Yeah, so I'm not going to touch the running back spot. I mean, I'm glancing at tight end. I still think Kittle and Waller, like, I'm probably going to pass. You know, one of the two is going to get back to me, maybe both. So I'm going to pass. I'm just going to go receiver. I'm just going to take the guy I like the most. I'm going Courtland Sutton. I just love this Broncos offense. I think Courtland Sutton could finish as a top 12 receiver this year. So to stack this team with Kupp, Evans, and Sutton, that's just like so much upside at the receiver spot. Zeke is a stable running back, and I can figure out that other running back spot later. I'll smash a couple names in the mid rounds and just see who pops. So Courtland Sutton's the pick. I would have loved to have Jacobs. I'd have loved to have one of these running backs, but man, y'all aren't making it easy on us.
So you got Courtland Sutton at wide receiver 18. I don't think that sounds too bad, but I'm surprised you went Sutton over some other names on the board.
I still like DK. I like DK
Like,
a
what
lot.
about Mike Williams? He's going third round and underdog right
Mike
now.
Williams. Oh, I didn't even see Mike Williams, honestly. I would have thought about Mike Williams there for sure. I like DK. I know there's concerns about DK, but at that value, I think he's got the upside as well. He's going to give you those pop weeks. And for me, as my third receiver, could have taken a little bit of volatility. But yeah, honestly, I love what you did, locking in Jacobs and then waiting and going wide receiver later because there's just so many names in the same tier. That's what I would have loved to do, but
I mean, wide receiver 18. Wow, they're spiting us right now.
That's
they
fine.
are spiting
Honestly,
us in the chat right now.
The fact that they went tight end, I hope I forced them into that tight end pick because I probably wasn't going to pick either of them here anyway. So
we can use our host privilege to influence these picks and make our own lives easier. And I think there's going to be a running back, man. It's still not a clear pick to me. I guess Kenneth Walker. Like, you're not taking Cordero Patterson right now. You're not taking Devin Singletary.
I'm not taking
now.
a running back for a while.
I mean,
I don't know about
truly
Kenneth
is
Walker
the
in
dead zone.
redraft, man. Like Rashad Penny's going to be the starter there to start out the year. I really think so. Walker could get ramped up, but like I don't know. Penny was a first round pick, and it took him a while to get ramped up as a rookie when he was healthy. So it could be the same treatment for Walker. So I'm back. I have no idea what I'm going to do here. These running backs are disgusting. The tight ends I would have considered both got taken. That's just that's tough. And then receiver, like it is good that it's a 2 flex league. So if I wanted to go with some of the names we talked about, a Mike Williams, a DK Metcalf, I do have 2 flex spots, so I can start all these receivers and just be absolutely loaded. And then there's also quarterbacks I'm at least glancing at. Like Patrick Mahomes is still on the board in the 5th round. I'm normally not an early QB guy, but to me, the 5th round isn't even necessarily like early QB to me. So I'm actually thinking about just locking in Patrick Mahomes here. Just because I think there's a bigger difference between him and some of these other quarterbacks. But there's tons of guys I like. Kyler, Lamar Jackson, Herbert, Jalen Hurts is going to be great. This is a tough spot to pick.
I'd go with one of the wide receivers personally. But
yeah, I'm going DK. I'm going DK, and I'm just saying, hey, I'm locking in stud receivers. There are 2 flexes. So my receivers right now, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, and DK Metcalf. It's fantastic. But I got some work to do at the running back spot.
Don Juan, don't do this. Do not do this. Wait, never mind. It doesn't matter. I was going to say don't pick Mike Williams until I realize I already have Keenan Allen. I'd rather not stack like that. If I'm going to stack, I'll go quarterback to receiver, which, look, I made the decision.
Man, it's tough to draft when we're telling everyone what we want to do.
Man, this is brutal. Jack Warner, interesting take here. And I see this in the fantasy community a lot. You can take this path, and maybe it's worked for some of you. I personally have never seen it work because it's almost like you're banking on other people valuing players a certain way. And I hate my destiny living in the palms of someone else's hands when I could just go and secure value that's there on the board. And
like, what's best case scenario? You trade Waller for DK Metcalf or Mike Williams, but I mean, you could have just, drafted them.
Interesting question here by our boy Derek Ridlin, and
shout out Lamar.
I think it is a great question for him to ask. Do I want to go Allen Robinson just yet? I am in on A-Rob.
I thought you were going to take him here, honestly. I did.
Let's do our due diligence here. Let's check some
names.
In the
5th. I mean, we're in the middle of the 5th round. Like, we're getting a little bit deeper here.
Okay, you might think this is a little spicy, but when we're in 12-team redraft leagues, we're going for the win. And the way to maximize upside is to go for the stack. So I'm going Herbert.
Nice.
Herbert and Mahomes. Really, Herbert,
5th
Mahomes,
round is
Lamar
such
Jackson.
A value on these QBs. That's
Herbert,
crazy.
Well, who is it? After Allen, it's like Mahomes, Jackson, Herbert.
Maybe Kyler.
You put Kyler in there. People seem to be down on Kyler just because he's missing like DeAndre Hopkins, but they bring in Hollywood Brown. He's still going to run the ball a ton. Like he's not going to just not produce. So
I don't know what Herbert world Waller's a 15-point flex, but with Devontae Adams there,
I'm not
touchdowns are low. Like I think Waller will be fine, but I think the difference between Waller and like a Dalton Schultz is probably not a lot this year. But hey, everyone's league is different. If you're in a hyperactive league and people are going to be trading and thirsty for those tight ends like they will be for running backs, we'll see what happens.
You
It's
know,
a mock
Darren
draft.
Waller
It's fun to
averaged.
see how the roster ends up too. That's why we do these mock drafts. I'm actually really interested to see how that Andrews Waller stack goes. See what
Well,
that
you know,
roster looks
Darren
like
Waller didn't even average 15 fantasy points per game last year, right? When Hunter
without
Renfro was
Adams.
breaking out, like I, you could say that, but at the end of the day, the production's not there. He had 17 fantasy points per game in 2020 when he had a monster target share, over 1,100 receiving yards. But even the year prior in 2019, when he had 117 targets, over 1,100 receiving yards, still was under that 15 fantasy points per game. So the reason you go with the early tight end is to get that value over the field. But it's like you can't even capitalize on that if you have two tight ends, because now you have to put one into a flex spot. Tight ends are the lowest scoring position in fantasy football.
Yep.
Just let that,
Yeah.
let that sink in, right? Why do you want to invest early capital in them? And
Waller
I think there's a
averaged.
value for everybody, but two tight ends, I'll never be able to get behind it. But Warner, we'll see how the
And
roster
maybe
plays
you
out.
can trade him, but Waller averaged 12 PPR points per game last year. That was without Adams. If you look at guys scoring at the tight end spot, that's awesome.
And
But
without Ruggs.
if you look at receivers scoring that, Russell Gage, Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis, Christian Kirk, those guys were scoring 12 points per game. You can get them in like the 8th round of this draft, 9th round, those kind of names. So you can trade them, could work out great, but until you do, you're kind of giving yourself a disadvantage. But Mahomes, okay, I love how this draft has gone. I love that no one reached on the early quarterbacks. I think Josh Allen might be worth it where he went. These other guys, no one reached in the 4th, and they all fell to be tremendous values in the 5th. So Lamar, Herbert, Mahomes, Kyler in the 5th round, mid to late 5th round, I'm all in on that.
I love Bateman there at the 5'10", but Hopkins at the 5'09". Would really love to hear some insight behind that because, I mean, Hopkins is suspended, man. 6 games.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Dang, Joe Burrow, Jalen
Thorough
Hurts, all the
roasting.
quarterbacks are going now.
Hey, nothing's personal. This is all, and this is why we do these mocks, right? To try stuff out. We can roast you, but if you learn something from it, it's worth it.
100%. And like, I'm glad the bot took Chris Godwin at the 5'11", because we don't know how long he's going to be out. And so we don't have to roast that pick when there's still really good receivers on the board that are healthy right now. So,
but I will say, Pizza, you redeemed yourself with the Brandon Cooks pick. I thought Cooks was going to go in that Allen Robinson range. So to see you get him a whole round later, fantastic. To Brady and Rodgers.
Keep Brady and Rodgers a secret for me for a couple more rounds, please. It's crazy to see these QBs go, though. There goes another running back, Miles Sanders. So, yeah, we went a whole 5th round and almost a half with no running backs. That's how far that teardrop went. And that's the 4th running back there for Lil Mixon. Still has not taken a wide receiver. So talk about experimental drafting. Very interesting to go Miles Sanders when there's guys like, Jerry Jeudy's got some upside potential, Amon-Ra, Adam Thielen, some interesting names on the board. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like Sanders. I'm coming around on him a little bit, other than him saying not to draft him in fantasy. Maybe that's reverse psychology. I don't know if you saw that in that interview, Steph. He literally said not to draft him. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
I hate what I'm about to do because ADP wise, it's horrible. But the way this draft board is falling, and this is why we do these mocks, I think I'm going to go Tony Pollard here. I think it's probably a round before I would take him, but seeing AJ Dillon go, we're in the Sanders range already. Running back, even though it's deeper up top, there is a big drop off. I believe more than previous years. Sanders is a dart throw. He could be stuck in the same position he was last year. I know he's coming back from the ankle injury, but Kenneth Gainwell is making his hay, was already getting goal line work and pass catching work year 1. And we believe this is going to be a run heavy Eagles offense, but AJ Brown was brought in, so they may air it out a little bit more as well. So I'm so conflicted on Sanders. I'm just kind of erring on the side of I'll just take the guy who's cheaper at cost and go with Gainwell a few rounds later.
That's a bold pick at the 607. I'll tell you that. I'm upset because I didn't see Schultz go. My navigation is kind of blocking his name, so I thought he was here. He's not. But I'm gonna be a little spicy, Steph. I know you're gonna love this. I'm just gonna lock it in. See your reaction.
Ooh.
We're going Russell Wilson at the 610.
Get the stack.
I might have been able to wait till the 703, but Phil and Jack have been just sniping me over here, so I wasn't willing to risk it. I get that stack with Cortland Sutton, lock in more upside. Maybe could have waited and gotten a Brady or a Rodgers, maybe a Dak Prescott, Trey Lance still on the board. But you and I both, Steph, believe Russell Wilson's going to go nuclear this year. So I'm just kind of pushing my chips into that basket with that stack and seeing what happens.
My dark horse Super Bowl pick is the Denver Broncos. We've seen Stafford first year in a new situation as quarterback. Someone's a Super Bowl. The year before that, Brady, new situation at quarterback. Russell Wilson is now the next name in that tier where he's older, proven stud QB on a win now roster. They paid him big money to be there. And you have Cortland Sutton. So going for the QB wide receiver stacks is maximizing your potential to win these leagues. And even if you have to go a little bit outside of ADP, certainly you don't want to ever reach super, super hard. And I know, right, it's kind of laughable when I just took Tony Pollard in the 6th round.
I think a round is reasonable. If you really want a guy,
get your stacks. Get your stacks.
Especially if you're closer to a turn. Like maybe arguably I could have waited till the 703. I didn't want to risk it. I wanted to get my guy. I would have been bummed if he got picked. But I think if you really want someone, if you want to reach one round, do it. Get the guy that you think is going to be better. Straight up.
Great Darnell Mooney pick by our boy Don Juan. Don Juan's killing this draft right now. I think Elijah Mitchell was a little early, but if you're in on him, I don't think it's too much of a reach there. And then getting Mike Williams at value and Darnell Mooney at value. Mooney is set to smash. He's going to be the guy with a 30% plus target share that you're getting in the 6th round. And names like Brandon Cooks are also going in the 6th round, but went a lot of half a round earlier. And then even names like Rashad Bateman in a target funnel situation, he went earlier. Amari Cooper, target funnel situation, he went earlier. So to get Mooney that late in as good a situation as you could ask for from a wide receiver, I thought that was a great pick. CEH at the
I'm so glad Phil picked him because I think I was going to, and I didn't want to have to put myself through that. So, man, it's like every time I want to take a running back, they get taken right before me. I have QB. I'm not going to take another quarterback in this draft. I need a tight end. I'm down on Hawkinson versus consensus. I think there's plenty of guys in that tier I can wait on. I've got enough receivers. I really do need a running back. I don't like Damian Harris. It's like all the guys on the board I'm not really a big fan of, but I got a long way before I pick again. So I just got to pick one that I feel good about. Man, this is tough. I'm just gonna go Kareem Hunt.
Only one running back.
Hunt. I'm just gonna go Kareem Hunt. I'm gonna try to smash the running back spot and take a lot of guys that might have some upside in these middle rounds. And Hunt, I think he's going to be serviceable, not exciting. We talked about Chubb and the concerns we have there if Watson's not playing. So Hunt, yes, you could say he's in that same boat. But when he's been healthy over the past couple of seasons, he's been great. Last year started out on fire. Started out with a 17, a 6, and then a 27, 16, 25, and 10-point game. So absolutely fantastic. The season before that was the RB10 on the season with Nick Chubb there. So Hunt gives you that RB2 type level production, maybe has some upside if Chubb goes down. And I desperately needed a running back, so had to go with it.
Nice. And after you went Hunt, it was Devonta Smith. And that's another great pick by Don Juan. Don Juan just killing it. Anthony, actually circling back on Kenneth Walker for his build, going James Conner, Kenneth Walker as late round RB smashing. I think you can do a lot worse. And I like the upside of a Kenneth Walker. We've talked about him a ton when we broke down all the rookies here. But you guys have left me a couple names. I don't want to give them all away because I feel like you all snipe them the second I say them. But my next pick here is going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm going to get that potential top wide receiver. All right, Kelsey could be the top tight end, but the top wide receiver in Kansas City, at least the guy who's the most proven there. He's more proven than Sky Moore. I'm going to go Juju and hope that he can just be essentially a yak guy with easy completions from Mahomes. I think Juju is getting a little bit smeared over the last couple of years because of the injury, because of how brutal the offense was in Pittsburgh. I think Juju is a more versatile receiver than he's given credit for. We've seen him play on the outside. We've seen him play in the slot next to AB. I'm in on Juju, man, especially here in the 7th round.
Yeah, I don't mind the pick at all. I mean, the upside you could be getting if he does return to form in Kansas City is huge. So I like it. Drake London at the 707.
Love that London pick. I love that London pick.
Man, I'm worried about Walker. I like the upside,
really?
But there's a chance with Anthony's build. Like, if I like Walker maybe as your running back 3, because if he doesn't walk right into production from day one, you don't have to start him. But we'll see what Anthony does, and if he can pick up some running backs that might have some production right off the bat that he can plug into that RB2 spot. Because I think
Let's
it
see
could
who
take
else
a
was
little while
there.
for Walker to kind of pick up and get up to speed. I hope it doesn't. I hope he's kind of out there from day one, but Rashad Penny will get carries in this offense as long as he's healthy. I know people are going to say he's not going to be healthy. They're probably right, but I would just be a little bit nervous about that one. So he can still definitely make up for that. And if he ends up as a guy that, if he comes back in the 8th, maybe the 9th, pick up some solid names, and Walker's not a guy he's plugging in his lineup from day one, I'm going to like that pick a lot more because you said it, the upside is there if he does take over this backfield. And with who's on the board, I honestly can't blame him. If he was in the same boat as me, needed a running back, and it's slim pickings now at that position. So I don't necessarily hate it at value, but I do have some concerns for Walker, and he could be one of those second half league winners. But if he's not, it could be a slow rookie season. So we'll see.
That's why I like him is if I get 2 running backs early, and then later I can get Kenneth Walker as that cherry on top. Kind of in previous years, how we've seen DeAndre Swift. Last year, Javonte Williams was this guy. In past years, Jonathan Taylor was this guy. Now, usually those guys are going in the 3rd, 4th round, right? Because they're in better situations, probably got better draft capital. So Kenneth Walker, I think you're getting him at a pretty decent discount because he is one of those upside rookies. But because people don't like Seattle and the situation looks horrible, he's getting dropped down a little bit. I'm going to hit pause after Jim Jean picks here because I want to respond to our boy Pizza asking a question about stacking in fantasy football, which I think is a really interesting topic and something where a lot of research, kind of the meta, has evolved over the last couple of seasons, where stacking was kind of frowned upon. Oh, it's just a DFS thing. And now it's been shown in redraft leagues that probabilistically you're more likely to win when you do have a stack there. Let me hit pause right here. Shout out to Steb. Sorry, I keep hitting
always
pause.
Getting that extra time.
He's always getting the extra time for 2 picks. So he better be thanking us after this draft. But when we talk about stacks, what we're talking about is quarterback to receiver stacks. So we're not talking about like running back, wide receiver, not even QB running back. I think could be interesting. Like
QB tight end.
Drew Brees, Kamara was a fun stack to have in leagues prior. Herbert Eckler was a fun one to
have.
Right
now, maybe Rodgers, Aaron Jones could be interesting.
Rodgers Jones, a great one. And honestly, I'm glad you brought that up. Who has Aaron Jones right now?
Will Mixon. He's got Mahomes, so we'll see.
Okay, he went Mahomes. I would be fascinated to see how his draft would have turned out if he'd waited a little bit and gone with the Rodgers Jones stack, having little pieces everywhere else. But the reason you want stacks is because it maximizes your upside. Mm-hmm. Last year in a lot of leagues, I had a Dak Prescott CeeDee Lamb stack. In multiple leagues, I had that stack. And whenever CeeDee Lamb would have a good game, Dak Prescott would as well. Essentially what you're doing is saying, look, there's a limited amount of bets in a draft that you're willing to make. Every time you take a player, you're betting on them having a good season. So what you can do by stacking is doubling down, right? If you say, I love, let's just say, right, Devontae Adams, right? You take him at the 201, take him above consensus. I'm all in on Adams. I think he's going to smash. What you're inherently saying in that is that you think Derek Carr is going to have a good year as well, because Adams is going to eat. So what you're essentially doing is limiting the number of things that need to go right for you to win this league. So again, it's just a way to essentially double down, push all your chips in. Certainly the downside is there, but in 12-team leagues, you're typically only getting paid out for top 2. Like, you only get paid out for top 2. I know some leagues you get paid for playoffs. You get paid out for high point, and we can talk about some of those approaches there.
But it's great for high point as well because there's season-long and weekly correlation. So,
yeah, last year when I had the Dak CD stack, I took Tyreek Hill in the first round, and I was getting some weird looks at the time, but that pick led to me leading the league in high point because Tyreek Hill would have those blow-up games, and when Dak and CD went off, it was easy for me to hit that. But I'm going to hit resume here again. Pizza, appreciate the question on stacking. Always happy to dive into that. And there's a lot of good stacks this year. You know, one stack that I'm really excited about that I've got in a lot of underdog best ball drafts is Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins. I've got a lot of Kupp, Stafford, Evans, Brady. And then you mentioned Aaron Jones and Rodgers. I think that's another great one. Lamar Jackson, Rashad Bateman is an interesting one to me. So you don't necessarily want to stack like a Hurts with somebody because you just, who knows whether it's AJB or Devontae Smith, and they're going very I think both are going a little bit too early in drafts right now. AJ Brown in the second round is a little bit spicy for me. So maybe you go Hurts, Devonta Smith,
Maybe
6th,
Goddard.
7th round.
Goddard could be interesting if you just want to wait on tight end.
And the point here as well is don't just, mortgage your whole draft strategy.
Don't reach for it.
And your roster to create a stack. But if there's opportunity there, if you can set things up on the front end to have a easily accessible stack the way the draft breaks down, I say you go for it. Great pick there at the 803 by Jim Jean. Jim Jean is killing these mid-round picks, getting Rashad Bateman in the 5th, getting ETN in the 4th, Jalen Hurts in the 6th. Love that there. And then Cordero Patterson in the 8th. I think at this range for the running backs that are there, like over that Kenneth Walker pick, I know you were raising an eyebrow to Walker at the 705, but Damian Harris, Cordero Patterson, Chase Edmonds are the guys that I would gladly take over Kenneth Walker. And I hope that Chase Edmonds hint didn't just get him sniped from me.
Hawkinson at the 805, another 2 tight end build. This is for Lil Mixon, but honestly, at the 805, Hawkinson, I love the value there. And FF Pizza Man, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb stack was able to wait and get Dak in the 8th round. I love that.
So there's a lot of boom bust names on the board here at receiver right now. There is a guy that I really like at receiver, but I don't feel great with this running back room. Like I had to reach on Pollard to just give me something to feel like some upside was there. To me, after Chase Edmonds, it's all handcuffs. Like Edmonds is the last guy I see on the board. Maybe like a Ronald Jones, a Dameon Pierce. I don't really see any true like RB1, at least from an NFL depth chart type names. I think Chase Edmonds is that. So I am going to go Edmonds. I am above consensus on him. Feel like I have been for a while now. And I'm glad I did because Devin Singletary went right after.
Yeah. Oh, and then Melvin Gordon. And then I'm going to keep the running back run going. This is the guy I wanted, was James Cook. And there's risk involved. No, he's not a workhorse. But I think you told me right before we started recording that they're expected to use James Cook as this third down back. He should get some work as maybe a wide receiver as well, which is interesting. Going to get some carries out of the backfield. Could be a fun play and very valuable in these PPR leagues. That's what we are drafting here is PPR. So waited on running back, but starting with Zeke as that bell cow running back 1, and then going with these guys like Kareem Hunt, James Cook, maybe throw him in there depending on what their matchup looks like. Obviously with Cook, I'll wait and see how he looks in this offense. We're going to have to do that with a lot of these rookies and shift from the dynasty mindset back to the redraft mindset. It's tough to go from dynasty leagues. We're finishing up another startup right now and get right back into a redraft league and say, oh, Cordero Patterson's a great pick in the 8th round, because you forget about these kind of guys in your dynasty leagues. Oh, I'm back on the clock. Oh, this is easy. I had this one circled for a while. I'm going Zach Ertz. I love Zach Ertz this year in Arizona. He was the tight end 5 last season on the full season. From week 7 on, when he got traded to the Cardinals, he was tight end 4, an absolute necessity to this offense. I think it was Max Williams or some no-name in Arizona was getting utilized before he went down with the torn ACL. So Ertz comes in with a pass-catching profile at his age. He's still fine. I mean, Jason Witten was getting it done when he could barely run. So Zach Ertz, to me, with DeAndre Hopkins out the first 6 games, I like to get out to quick starts in my fantasy league because the teams at the top of the leaderboard always have leverage over the teams at the bottom. There goes Olave. But I love Zach Ertz to get off to a quick start and then maintain it for the full season. So I'm waiting on tight end this year, and that 9th round, even at the back of the 8th, I'm going to be taking Zach Ertz everywhere.
That hurt, man. That hurt so bad
you just
for
got
Olave. I was going to go Olave over Edmonds. I thought Olave has a better chance of getting back to me. Dang it.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert is interesting here. Let's see who else is on the board at receiver. Kind of like Al Lazard. Oh, this is easy. This is all day, every day, and on Sundays. Russell Gage at the 906. This is Brady's Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Chris Godwin, just the guy who's going to be in the short intermediate range of the field. He's not going to run those deep routes like Evans will on the outside or like a Jalen Darden will on the outside as a straight burner. Russell Gage will be operating in the slot and just soaking up targets. They're going to pepper this man with targets. So to get him in the 9th feels really, really good.
I'd be shocked if Gage was not at least a top 24 wide receiver this year. I'd be absolutely shocked.
And we've
And
seen
then
even the
Lazard.
wide receiver 3, right? When AB is there, when Evans and Godwin are healthy, like this offense with Brady can support 3 wide receivers. So for there not really to be even 3 wide receivers of consequence means Gage is going to eat at
It's
least
going to be
until
crazy.
Godwin comes back and probably keep it going after that.
Steph, what do you think about Robert Woods? So I like the Lazard pick. Cholesterol fangers. I like the Lazard pick. He could get opportunity in the 9th round. Like, why not take the shot and see if he is the guy? What's your take though on Robert Woods? So Lil Mixon is kind of gone 0 receiver, which is interesting. And his 2 receivers are Treylon Burks and Robert Woods. We'll get into it when we're breaking down the rosters, but I'd be worried. I don't.
Um,
I think I actually like Woods more now than I did 3 months ago because it sounds like his rehab is going great from his ACL. Might be out there for week 1, and if he is, I think he will lead the team in targets. I would be if Woods and Burks are both healthy the whole season. Woods should get more targets. They're just going to be less valuable targets, similar to what we saw in LA. His yards per catch is going to be low. He's going to be used across the middle on some of these rub routes and things like that. But in a PPR league, if you just need a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4, if you went running backs early and you want a plug and play flex, you can go Woods. I'm just worried about the volume in that offense as well. But for this team, man, already having Burks, I don't know that I would have stacked 2 Tennessee wide receivers because you can never play them the same week.
yeah, I don't understand stacking. Like that's the wrong way to do stacking. But I actually love the value that he got on both players because,
Yeah, I
and
do.
you mentioned it, Robert Woods' health was the primary concern with him. So to see him out on the field running routes, looking good, I think you're right. I think he will lead Tennessee in targets, maybe not receiving yards, but is certainly going
Yes,
to lead in
correct.
targets. And I think that's really what you were saying as well.
Big Jim Jean might get roasted with this next pick. Pat Fryermuth, I think it's fine. I mean, you need a
Fine.
tight end. It's late round tight end time. Like I think honestly, you might have been able to wait till your next pick and just grabbed a Gesicki, a Komet, or maybe even Fryermuth. But I think Fryermuth could be, a tight end that's boring and gets a touchdown from time to time. Oh, Lance, I missed it. Trey Lance. No, I actually love Trey Lance there in the back of the 9th. The only reason I would roast it is because you picked Jalen Hurts in the 6th. I don't think you need both necessarily.
Especially because
But
of the same type of player. They're these rushing
yeah,
quarterbacks with upside. Like you
but
don't need
maybe the
2 of those, and
mindset
you
is,
can't
hey, they're
stack.
both volatile, they're both semi unproven. But I think we've seen enough from Hurts to know what he's going to be. So as long as he's healthy, you're probably rolling him out there every single week. So the only reason I'd roast the pick is because you already had Jalen Hurts. But in the back of the 9th round, I think in a 0 QB build to get a guy with the upside of Trey Lance is fantastic. And Stafford went right after him. And honestly, if you're near one of these turns in round 9 and 10, that's where I don't mind taking Lance and Stafford because you get a proven veteran that is going to be a stable quarterback in Matt Stafford, but then you also get the upside shot with the mobile guy in Trey Lance. So I don't mind it. Let's see how this board looks.
Yeah,
Stevenson, Tony Carter, Isaiah Spiller, Gallup, and Dameon Pierce.
a lot of interesting names. This is
queue
tough right
is
here.
pretty much gone.
Yeah. There's a couple names that are exciting, but I don't know if I need them right now. And once again, I want to see some of the QB values. I'm going to pause the draft right here. We're almost done. This will probably be the last pause, and then we'll end this thing strong. Dak Prescott in the 8th. I think that's a tremendous value. Tom Brady in the 9th, tremendous value. And, you went Evans at the 210, but let's just say, and you'll see this in other drafts a lot, Mike Evans at the 211. You come back and get Brady at the 902. That would have been masterful there from a stacking perspective. But I'm really in on like Dak Prescott. I went for Justin Herbert because of the stack that I had going Keenan Allen a little earlier than I would have liked. But I'm just throwing all my chips in on the Chargers being this high pace of play, high pass volume, high flying offense with a ton of scoring to go around, and Keenan Allen just being what he has been his entire career. But, in hindsight, and I feel like I do this a lot with the tight end position and the quarterback position, when we look at our redraft leagues, 5th round pick on a quarterback, I probably could have gone with an Allen Robinson, with a Rashad Bateman, just gone for a higher upside play than a quarterback when I could still get a Dak Prescott in the 8th, could get a Brady in the 8th or 9th, a Jalen Hurts in the 6th. So just learning from doing this over and over again. I think we're going to look back on this and I'm going to be kicking myself for Herbert that early. But then again, it still wasn't like I reached a round or two early to go get Herbert. So maybe at the fifth, 506, I feel a little bit better with that. But man, this is starting to get into gross range. It's kind of like pick your poison. Who do you want? But great question here from Anthony. One QB league, should you draft a QB2 or stream one from the waiver wire? My approach is really dependent on who I get, right? In this draft, I'm not going to pick up a second QB because I don't need one. I have Justin Herbert every single week. I don't need to stream. There's no reason for me to take a second QB. But if you do go with, let's say, like, shout out to Jim Jean, if he hadn't gone Hurts, right, it's just Trey Lance. That's the case where I'll go get a Derek Carr later. I'll get a Kirk Cousins later just to fill in some of that depth. If Trey Lance busters out, at least I know I can plug in Kirk Cousins week 2 and hope for the shootout.
Yeah, one more thing to add to that. I think league construction matters as well. I think if it's a deeper league and you have more bench spots, it might make sense to stash an upside quarterback on your bench, a Trevor Lawrence or something at the end of the draft, because that's probably going to be more valuable than your 7th wide receiver or whatever it is. So just something else to think about. Think about your league construction. This one, we're only drafting 5 bench spots, so no way I'm drafting another quarterback when I need these running backs. I need these receivers. But good question.
Yeah, and still talking about QBs here for a minute. Aaron Rodgers still on the board. So great call out by our boy D. Rid, noticing that, hey, y'all aren't talking about Brady. Y'all aren't talking about Rodgers, and they're going to be values. And turns out they are going to be here going in the 10th, 9th round. I'm going to hit resume on this draft and make my pick.
Yeah, I mean, 12 quarterbacks have been taken. Yeah, go ahead and pick, but I want to hit one more thing. 12 QBs have been taken, and we still got Rodgers and Derek Carr, who I really like, on the board. So a lesson is, like, if you want to punt the quarterback spot, if you're in a 12, even a 14-team league, you're probably going to be able to wait till the 10th round because most people lock in that quarterback in round 5, 6, 7, 8. They're not even looking to the quarterback till the end of the draft. So you have the luxury of being one of the last people to take quarterback. And there's still some pretty solid names on the board. Even a Kirk Cousins is one of those streamer type names. Steph, you got 7 seconds.
All right. I was going to go Tyler Boyd, but I'm going to go with Tyler Boyd Light and Jacoby Myers, who is in more of a target funnel than Boyd. The only reason I didn't go Boyd there is because I have Jamar Chase, and I don't want to overinvest in that receiving core. But honestly, like, it's not that bad to have Chase and Boyd. It's really not. You can start them both in the same week, and it's fine. And certainly Boyd can be your insurance policy on Jamar Chase. But I like the upside of Jacoby Myers, man. I think he can very easily be in a target funnel situation. Devontae Parker hasn't delivered on what he should be. Mac Jones is getting hyped up preseason right now. And it's really like Hunter Henry as the other competition, and then Tyquan Thornton, Kendrick Bourne. Shout out to everybody in the Discord repping Kendrick Bourne, but he's a best ball name to me. I'm not investing redraft picks in Kendrick Bourne. I'm going to go with the safe depth piece in Jacoby Myers, who I think will have over 25% target share this year. And we've all talked about it at length. Jacoby Myers is a strong candidate for positive touchdown regression this year.
No.
Great Sky Moore pick by Phil.
Come on, Phil.
Great Sky Moore pick.
I just watched my cue evaporate before my eyes. Now I don't know what I'm going to do.
You could go Boyd.
But to me,
I didn't notice you went Rachaad White. Great pick.
But like, why would I don't mind Boyd, but it's not exciting to me because I'm good at receiver, and there's just still so many receiver names that are going to give me similar production. Now there is upside there if there was a situation where Jamar Chase or T. Higgins missed any games. Boyd would be very appealing for those weeks. Kind of this weird like handcuff at the receiver position, who's still productive as a flex on his own. But yeah, I'm looking at the running back spot because I still feel a little bit weak there. Man, this is getting tricky for me.
Jarvis Landry. Did he go already?
Yeah. No, he's available.
Jarvis is there. Kenny
I like
Golladay
the Myers
there.
pick. This is getting tough. How much time do I have? 30 seconds. Yeah, I don't want any part of James Robinson. Don't want Algier. Don't want Marlon Mack. Darrell Henderson, I just don't know. You'll like this one, Steph. I'm not the biggest Gainwell guy.
I love it.
I'm not the biggest Gainwell guy, but at this point in the draft, I'm weak at that RB2 spot. I'm looking for these high upside handcuffs, and I think Gainwell's one of them. If Philly figures it out, they stick to the running game, and Gainwell can carve out a role. Could be okay. So So we'll
There's
see.
no guarantee that Sanders is the RB1 in Philly.
Yeah, it's
Just
a
like
handcuff play. I mean,
we could be
Gainwell was
look. No,
productive last
I
year.
think he has standalone value in deep leagues, in tough spots, bye weeks, things like that. But Gainwell could outright win that RB1 job in Philly. I know that's a hot take, but it's very, very possible based on the value touches, the high value touches that he was getting last year. They're grooming Gainwell, right, to be this post Miles Sanders RB1. And we could look up by week 8, and Gainwell's the guy getting 11 carries a game, 5 targets a game with that, DeAndre Swift type volume. Probably not going to be as efficient as a guy like Swift, but we both loved Gainwell as a prospect, especially as a receiver. I have 4 running backs, so I'm fine to wait a little bit more. You talked about some of the names here, all pretty gross. I'm going to go Christian Watson. Not a guy I'm super, super high on in dynasty leagues, but it's the upside shot. It's the same reason I'm taking like Juju Smith-Schuster. Same reason why you take a Drake London or a Treylon Burks. You're banking on the upside of a rookie, and we know Christian Watson in Green Bay, it's Sammy Watkins and no one else. And certainly Sammy Watkins and like Marvin Jones, these older alpha receivers that play on the outside typically, I think are really, really interesting in redraft leagues. Sammy Watkins could be like the guy you blow all your fab on after week 1. If he's not on a roster already. Same thing with Marvin Jones in Jacksonville. If we see Trevor Lawrence take that step, week 1, week 2, people are going to be running after Marvin Jones there. But I'm going to take Watson here, hope that he shows out early in the season within the first 4 or 5 weeks. And if not, I'll go ahead and drop him to the waivers, pick up somebody else. But I want that upside in case we see Watson and Rodgers show rapport early in the year. And still, to this point, back of the 11th round, Aaron Rodgers is still there.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is a crazy value here. And we're seeing, I haven't been the biggest Watson guy either, but it's like in the 11th round, you might as well take the shot on the upside. And these are guys, honestly, like this late in drafts, especially 12th, 13th round, other leagues where you might do a couple more rounds. With my last couple picks, I'm honestly thinking about guys that are going to blow up either week 1 or week 2, because when you think about what happens every single season, after week 1, if there's some dude, like if I draft Kenny Gainwell, I'd probably hold on to him. But when you think about a Christian Watson, even a Tyler Boyd, these are the kind of names that after week 1 passes, if they don't do anything, there's going to be someone on the waiver wire you want to pick up, and you're going to have to drop someone to get them. So with these last picks, like a guy like a Tyler Boyd, the reason I said I didn't like him earlier is because it doesn't feel like you can drop Tyler Boyd. It would feel silly to drop Tyler Boyd, but you're going to probably want a guy like a Christian Watson where it's like, oh, week 1, he only played 20% of snaps and didn't get targeted. Cut him, keep an eye on him, maybe pick him up later in the season. Or, holy smokes, Christian Watson played 80% of snaps, got 5 targets, looked really solid in week 1. He's already out on the field. He's someone with upside that you want to hang on to. So with these last couple picks, I'm going for that week 1 boom bust to just see what can happen. Kevin Ogletree, what a legendary name from like a 35-point performance week 1 a couple seasons ago.
And Sammy Watkins had a 40 bomb week 1 in Kansas City a while back. Great question from Derek Ridden. Why did Gainwell snap percentage shrink? It's because Sanders came back healthy and they were using Jordan Howard as the between the tackles grinder.
Yeah,
that's
they
why.
Went full ground and pound. They were running the ball like a ridiculous amount,
and that's leaning into Jalen Hurts as a rusher. Why they went so run heavy. I think they're trying to move away from that with the AJ Brown acquisition. The fact that they signed Kennedy Brooks as an undrafted free agent, but it's Sanders, Kennedy Brooks, and Gainwell. Boston Scott's still there. He's just been a fine role player, depth piece for them at running back. But
takes a touchdown from time to time.
That's why Gainwell's snap percentage shrank. But we saw him when Sanders was healthy, getting goal line work. Great pick there. Tim Patrick, the 1206. Love that as one of these guys who's in a great situation. Kind of like Tyler Boyd, where I think he has a solid floor because of the offense. Russell Wilson is going to open this offense up, and they're going to be high flying. We've seen Tim Patrick be a solid player. He's just been stuck in this horrible situation. But then there is a ceiling there if Sutton goes down, if Judy goes down, or if either one of those just busters out.
Steph, I got a trivia question for you. Who led the NFL? Which team led the NFL last season in rush yards per game? I was just looking it up. It's actually pretty interesting.
Say that one more time.
Which NFL team led the NFL in rushing yards per game?
Was it Philly?
It was Philly, number 1 by almost 200 yards. They had 160 rush yards per game. Part of that is having a mobile quarterback, but they were running the ball so much with Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders was banged up there for a little while, but they were getting everybody involved. So we'll see. And again, Gainwell's one of those picks. Like, we'll see what happens. And he's one of those guys. Like, I'd rather pick him than Tyler Boyd because we get through the first 3-4 weeks of the season and he's not doing anything, I'll just cut him and pick up another handcuff option at the running back spot. All right.
Now, I know you're in on Cole Kmet, so shout out to you for putting me on. Kmet this year, probably going to be the number 2 in Chicago, as gross as that offense is, but I got him in the 12th round. So I'll take that all day.
All right. Looking at the receiver spot, it's getting pretty ugly. Chark, Devontae Parker. I know our boy D-Rid likes Parker. I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm a little bit hesitant on him. Me neither. Jacoby's the clear one to me. We'll see what happens. I'd be willing to pick him up off waivers if he has a good week or two. This is.
I'm kind of floored that KJ Osborne went over names like Jalen Tolbert, Van Jefferson. I'm in on Curtis Samuel. I know
I like KJ Osborne a lot, actually. I like KJ. If you look at what he did last season, 50 for 655 and 7. Was very involved, had several really productive weeks in fantasy, and this offense is now being described as a pass-happy offense. Adam Thielen's getting older. KJ Osborne could be the 2 in Minnesota in an interesting flex name. So, there's other names I like here, but I actually like KJ Osborne. I'm coming around to him as an interesting flex in some of these deeper leagues. I just smashed another handcuff with TDP. You can kind of see what I'm doing, kind of just the shotgun approach at running back, thinking, hey, let me take as many handcuffs as I can and see if I can get some value there to have someone pop up as my RB2 as the season goes along.
You really did the epitome of the hero RB. You went Zeke in the 3rd and then just smashed on handcuffs with upside.
Yeah. We'll see how this would shake out. Definitely not my ideal roster build, but I think with just how the board fell, especially the running back run we saw from my pick with Zeke to my next pick, that 4th round running back run with Montgomery, Etienne, Brees, Gibson, Dobbins, Jacobs, Mitchell. Like, we saw, I can't count. I think that's 7 running backs and 8 picks. Like, that's crazy to see in that 4th round. And I wasn't going to reach for, a Miles Sanders in the 4th round. So I was kind of given this hand, and that's what you get for picking on the turn sometimes.
Now, in a normal league, we'd have a few more picks, right? I'd probably get another tight end. I love the fact that Alberto is still there. Hunter Henry's still there. I think Irv Smith still has some runway to produce, and there goes Alberto in the 13th. Amazing value.
Fant, dude. I like Fant.
Really? Talk to me about Fant, because I don't see there being enough volume in Seattle for anyone to produce other than DK.
To me, like, if you're going to go late round tight end, like, look at Fant's situation last year, totally brutal quarterback situation. I mean, with Drew Lock there now, you could say it's similar to how it was last year. There are concerns about the volume, yes, but there wasn't a ton of volume in Denver last year. Fant ended as the tight end 12 in PPR, 68 for 670 and 4. He's one of these tight ends like Evan Ingram style that has the capability to take any pass to the house. So he's one of the few tight ends that doesn't necessarily need the volume to get it done because he is so athletic. And as things stand right now, I think it is going to be DK, Lockett, and Fant. They don't really have a 3rd wide receiver of consequence. And that defense is going to be brutal. They might want to run the ball, but I don't think they're going to be able to. And I think they're going to have to pass it more than they want to. And Fant, apparently, I don't read too much into camp reports, but they clearly targeted him as part of that Russell Wilson trade. He's a guy they wanted to get back. And they said he had a fantastic camp, so off to a hot start just with that coaching staff and things like that. So I'm not going to reach for him, but if you're going to pick up a tight end in the last round, I like Fant. And who knows, if Baker ends up getting traded there, it gets a lot more interesting for what his potential could be with a slightly better quarterback.
You kind of selling me on Fant here, especially at ADP. Nobody seems to want Fant on their rosters.
Undrafted.
We know he's athletic. He's produced before. He's had good seasons in the NFL. So I think you make some great points there. Hunter Henry, I'm glad he didn't go undrafted because he is worth a pickup. Shout out to the bot for picking him. But Anthony, we will I want to talk about Abram Smith, but Anthony, we will be reviewing these rosters here in a moment. We'll give a grade, or we'll do like a number 1 through 5, judging some of these rosters. I want to answer a question here. And Alex, I'm curious your take on this. I'm Josh Palmer through and through.
I'm Osborne.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That might need to be a bet between us. We'll see. Maybe we can put it over under on receiving yards, something like that. I think Palmer is the heir apparent to Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think Osborne's the heir apparent to Adam Thielen. So,
ooh, interesting. There's only one Slotty Pippen. when we
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
true.
Adam Thielen. But yeah, I went Abram Smith there because I think he has a ton of opportunity in front of him with essentially just Mark Ingram as competition to start the year. So this is really just an early in the season piece that if I can plug him in for the first 6 weeks, help
Yeah.
me get a secure playoff spot. I can plug him in potentially as my RP2 in a roster where, look, there's no guarantees with Saquon. I like Josh Jacobs, but where's the ceiling with him? Pollard could be stuck behind Zeke, especially for the first part of the season where Zeke's coming in a lot more fresh. And then Chase Edmonds, he's in an ambiguous situation where there's no surefire lock that he is the one. And what does the one really mean? It could be more like San Francisco, where the number one, it's like a 1A, 1B, 1C between the running backs there. So I went Abram Smith as, hey, let me
I
lock in a
like it.
guy for some potential.
Yeah.
And I like what he did in college.
It's what I talked about earlier. With your last pick, you might as well take a guy. If Kamara's suspended and Ingram is there week 1 and it's not Abram Smith, you just cut him. No big deal.
Exactly.
That's kind of my thinking with Will Fuller as well. Like typically going undrafted right now, but what happens if Will Fuller today signed with Green Bay? Or like what if he signed with one of these wide receiver needy teams like the Colts or even the Cowboys? I've seen his name float around with the Cowboys. Cleveland as well. That seems a little bit more unlikely, at least for this season. But if Will Fuller signs, I think he is going to get bumped up a couple rounds. Obviously, it was disappointing last year, but I'd rather see where he goes, see what happens week 1, see if he's a piece of the offense and drop him if he's not good, because we know Will Fuller, when he's at his peak, the PEDs might have contributed to it. We don't really know, but we know when he's at his peak, he's a viable wide receiver option in fantasy. So, Steph, I know we're a little over on time, but I kind of want to run through. We'll start from left to right, 101 through 112. We'll go through each team. Let's give them a letter grade. Let's do letter grades. Let's recap each roster with a quick grade. We'll try to breeze through it pretty quickly and hit on everybody here.
I'm actually floored that man, I actually love the approach that Warner took for like this roster build, going hero RB with JT and not taking a running back to the 11th round. I just wish that other running back wasn't Naheem Hines. Give yourself an opportunity to actually have 2 starting RBs when you have like Tyrion Davis-Price was there at that pick. Even like a JD McKissick. If you're going to get Naheem Hines, why not just go JD McKissick? That way you maximize the potential, right? Because as long as you're starting JT out there, Naheem Hines is going to be capped. I know they've had games where they've both produced, but I wouldn't bet on that. But I love the Darren Waller stack here. I mean, I'm going to give this a C just for the 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
The Naheem Hines pick.
I give it a C. Yeah, the stack with Waller and Carr is nice. Don't love the 2 tight ends. And yeah, the running back spot, especially the RB2 spot, is going to be absolutely brutal. AJ Brown and Amari Cooper, reason for concern there. Michael Thomas could save his roster if he ends up getting back
the
to
Ayuk
form.
pick. Ayuk can lock it
But
with
if
values
not,
for him.
yeah, I'll give that one a C. Let's go on to Phil at the 102.
So he went RB heavy early, then went Kittle in the 4th. Somehow still ended up with Hollywood Brown as his wide receiver 1. Probably not a guy that any of us would project to be a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy by the end of this thing. But I think he's a startable, like wide receiver 1 upside level name. Probably going to finish as a wide receiver 2 at the end of the year. He could have done a lot worse. I like the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick. CEH, I'm not in on anymore, but got Brady at a huge value. Alexander Madison, the 10th, was actually a really, really smart pick. Sniped both of us on Sky Moore. Granted, I had Juju, so I wasn't looking at him, and then got some handcuffs at the end. I think I'd give this an A, to be honest.
Wow.
For the approach that he took, man, to get Hollywood Brown's wide receiver 1, maybe I would have gone Mike Williams there, but Mike Williams fell far in this draft. If that Hollywood Brown pick was Mike Williams, this would be like an A+++.
Wow.
I'll give it a B+, A- right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the roster is great. The only weakness is receiver, but in these leagues, it always pays to be robust at running back. And Cam Akers is a volatile pick, but if Cam Akers hits, I mean, this is an A+ team. Now, with the volatility there, I'll give it a B+ just because the receiver depth is pretty weak right now, but there's a lot of upside on this team. Great pick on Brady, great running back depth. And if he's able to trade with some people in his league with these running backs, he's going to fix the wide receiver spot. So a B+, really strong team. This is the kind of team I would love to come out of a draft with. I'd love it. I'm
trying to see, instead of CEH, could he have gone with, like, he could have gone with the Devonta Smith, the Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah. Drake London, I think, would be perfect there. Of like, hey, I didn't get a stud wide receiver 1. Let me take a shot on one. Let me get a Treylon Burks, right? That's the kind of roster.
Gabe Davis, though, is kind of that profile of player, but I would have loved to see him go with 2. go with London and Davis, and then if one hits, you're set at receiver.
Yeah. What do you think about your roster, Alex?
Well, definitely didn't go as planned. I typically love to do it filled it and go running back early because it's easy to move running backs. It's hard to get running backs. But I was kind of forced where I drafted, it felt like, into this heavy wide receiver roster. I mean, my receivers are insane in a 2-flex league. Cup, Evans, Sutton, and Metcalf. Didn't feel the need to really address it again. Took a late shot on Fuller. I feel like I can pick up a flex name if I need to off waivers. And then the running back spot's obviously challenged with Zeke as a solid one, but I felt like there wasn't anything else there. So I just sprayed these values. Kareem Hunt, I think, is someone I can plug in as a 2 right off the bat. And then to me, it's like James Cook, Rashad White, Kenny Gainwell, TDP. Not all of them are going to hit, but if I can piece together a week here, a week there, Fournette misses a game, and then Gainwell has a hot game, and then Elijah Mitchell's out and TDP gets a start, I think there's going to be opportunities for me with that second running back spot. Love the value on Ertz and Wilson as well with that stack. So I like the team. Not my favorite roster I've drafted, but I'd be happy if this was a real league and I was going into the season with the receiver upside I have. I'd be satisfied.
Cup Evans is certainly a way to start a draft.
I'd give it a B.
My question is, if Leonard Fournette was there at the 210, would you have gone Fournette over Evans?
I would have gone Evans, yeah. I love Evans this year.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'd give it a B to a B+.
Okay. So Phil's leading the pack right now. Let's look at Don Juan, who seemingly sniped us all across the board. I love this receiver core, man. This is a textbook receiver core, and the fact that he got values on Mike Williams, on Darnell Mooney, on Chris Olave, that one hurt so bad to see Olave get sniped from me. Ended up going Gage with that pick, but man, I'm going to give this one an A. I didn't agree with some of these picks at the time. I didn't agree with Derrick Henry at the 104, but the way that he built this roster, I think is really, really strong. Melvin Gordon as just a depth piece at running back is fantastic. Taking the upside shot on Fields, he's obviously going to stream the quarterback spot if Fields doesn't break
Kirk Cousins is out there. There's some other names out there.
Perfect way to play it.
Rodgers.
Perfect way to play it.
Yeah, no, I love this roster. Yeah, there's I don't think Rodgers got drafted. Kirk Cousins didn't get drafted. So there are names out there. So plug one of those in at the quarterback spot just in your head if you want to. But yeah, robust at running back. Mitchell's questionable, but another one of those guys. He's his 3. So it's okay to have that volatility there. Love the values at receiver. Gesicki's fine at tight end. Quarterback's a question mark, but you can fill those holes at tight end and quarterback. So yeah, I'll give this one an A-. I think I'm a little bit harder of a grader than you are today, but still my favorite team so far.
And it's interesting, after like Mitchell, we saw that just dead zone of running back. The running back didn't go for almost 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like he was forced to make that pick. Let's look at Anthony here. It goes Jefferson in the first, Debo in the second. A little bit early there for Debo. I've been all over Twitter talking about go Fournette over Debo, but kind of saves himself going with a poor man's Leonard Fournette and James Conner, who's a little bit older, not the most efficient, but is going to be an RB1.
He'll be good this year.
To play offense. DJ Morris is a perfect flex play. Judy, fantastic flex. Claypool in the 10th. I'm not in on Claypool, but I think that's a tremendous value there. Gets Jameson Williams at the very end to get some upside, maybe help him make a playoff push. The running back core is the weak part of this, but he got
similar build to what I did in this draft, just different names.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'll probably give it the same grade.
Yeah, honestly, from a build perspective, it is similar. So obviously in this draft, I was picking pretty close to Anthony, so I did pick the guys that I prefer. So I would take my team if I was picking between the two, but that's just my personal biases. But from a build perspective, I still love this roster. I'd probably give it the same grade as well, a B to a B+. I love the values he got on some of these guys later on. And what I said at the Kenneth Walker pick was, if you can follow that up with some guys that could provide some depth streams at the running back spot and just get you some value, Devin Singletary, Ronald Jones, perfect examples of that. And then a handcuff with some high value in Darrell Henderson late. So I like the build a lot. And the upside at the receiver spot, Lamar at the quarterback spot. Don't blame him one bit for that. So I like the roster.
Let's look at my roster. Drafting from the 6th spot, go Jamar Chase to start off. Saquon, then Keenan. Got that stack with Herbert later on. I'm a pretty big fan of this draft. I maybe could have here was the thing, right? I kept chasing after I got Jamar Chase. I kept chasing like a solid flex wide receiver in the later rounds. when I probably could have done it a little bit earlier as opposed to going Pollard, right? Probably should have gone Mooney or Judy or even Amon-Ra
Yeah.
in place of that Tony Pollard pick. But the way that this draft broke out, that was another guy. Like, he was the last one of this next tier of names that I really like. Essentially, the way I'm playing it, if I need running back in this range, if Dillon goes off the board, I'm grabbing Pollard right away. If Pollard goes off the board, I'm grabbing Dillon right away. So those guys to me are tethered. So if one goes off, I'm getting the other one. I mean, obviously, I'm going to give myself an A. What do you think about this one?
I'll give you a B plus because I love the receivers, Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen. Now, when it does get into the flex range, there are some question marks. I think between Juju, Gage, Myers, Watson, all perfect flex names. But when you look at some of the other rosters, there are more premium upside names. But you also do have stability at running back. You have the premier quarterback. But I think you're right. I think if you replace Herbert with an Allen Robinson and circle back to quarterback later, this is an A for me. That would be the one change I would make. But other than that, I think you nailed it.
I fell into the trap of chasing positional value a little bit too much, just how the roster's going, right? Lamar Jackson goes off the board. I have Keenan Allen. I'm like, oh, I got to get Herbert, get the stack. I think I could have waited there. And, I'm willing to bet on myself in these leagues to be able to stream tight end, stream QB. So I was happy to go Komet super late. Let's look at cholesterol fingers. Love Eckler in the first there. We were scratching our heads over that Tyreek Hill pick, but gets Josh Allen, gets J.K. Dobbins, who has some questions on. But I love Allen Robinson in the 5th, A.J. Dillon in the 6th. I think is a perfect hedge against J.K. Dobbins. Drake London in the 7th. Amazing pick there, in my opinion. Dawson Knox. We didn't even talk about that one when it happened.
This is a stack pick. Is
it really just for the stack, Kirby?
I think so, because he probably could have waited around maybe 2 rounds and scooped up Knox. I think he reached around to get stacked. So for that reason, I don't blame it. Knox is a touchdown guy. So on those weeks, he's going to get that pop with Allen. But I think it could have got him in the 7th. So
I actually love the running back core going Eckler, right? Dobbins, if you're in on Dobbins, sure, you can replace him with Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Breece Hall, anyone in that tier. But going Eckler, someone in that early 4th round tier, and then getting Dillon, Dameon Pierce, and Tyler Algier, you're securing a lot of upside, a lot of value, a lot of late round breakout type names there.
I like
Talked
this
about
team.
the Tim Patrick pick. Love the Jalen Tolbert pick in the 13th. So I'm a big fan. I'm giving this
and he's got the best quarterback on the board. Yeah, I'm giving this an A minus. Like, I think for me, the Tyreek pick might have been a little early. Other receivers I would have preferred. Even Dobbins, other running backs I would have preferred. Like, replace Dobbins with Jacobs, replace Hill with a Mike Evans, and this is like an A, and then replace the Knox pick. Maybe it happens around later or go Ertz there instead. And this is like an A to an A plus for me, but that's just personal preferences on player rankings. But from a build perspective, this thing's beautiful. And that's with an early quarterback. So well done.
Yeah, nicely done. Our boy Kirby organized this thing, put it together, got everybody opted in to doing this draft. Last couple here. We'll try to be brief.
Let's roll through these. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it more in the Discord, guys. Let us know. I'm not a fan on Kyle Pitts in the 3rd, but the running backs are loaded on this roster. Harris, Jones, Gibson, Sanders, and didn't grab another running back until Zamir White. So really like the running back core here. Went 0 wide receiver, but gets Treylon Burks. Hate the fact that he went Woods and Burks. It's just like you're capping yourself right away.
And then a guy coming off a torn ACL.
And then going Gallup. The receiver core is a bummer. I'm going B minus on this one.
Yeah,
but I like George Pickens late, like Tyler Boyd late, especially for this build.
I'm going with the C plus, and I love the running backs. Najee, Aaron Jones.
He has Hawkinson and Pitts. Come on,
Najee, Aaron Jones are going to win you weeks. You have upside with Mahomes, and that was a great value. Hawkinson was a great value. You've got some depth at running back. The receivers are just so bad. Like, and if he would have known the value was going to be there on Hawkinson in the 8th, imagine this same team, but instead of Kyle Pitts, he has Michael
McLaurin or Pittman.
This is like a B plus to an A minus for me, and instead it's a C plus just because of that. So
moving on here, Dalvin Cook in the 1st by our boy Pizza gets a wow. I love this receiver core. Lamb, McLaurin, Hopkins, Cooks, Moore, Galladay. I think is textbook. Anthony, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you rocking with us. Keep hitting us up on the Discord, man. Always love talking to you. Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, then circles back on Spiller, McKissick, Edwards for how good his wide receiver core turns out. The fact that he got the Dak CD stack, shout out to Pizza, man. He crushed this thing. I'm giving this an A.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm giving this Hopkins is the pick
Hopkins
that
was the one.
yeah,
Replace
Hopkins
Hopkins
is
with
the
Bateman,
one.
and this is A plus.
Yeah, I love the Cooks pick. I'm giving this a minus. The Lamb Prescott stack to me makes up for the Hopkins pick, and then I love the Cooks pick. Just so much value in his team, so I'll give this an A minus. I like that team a lot.
Waits on Goddard too, gets him back to the ninth. I like that value. Jim Jean, shout out to our boy. Mixon in the first, love that there. Diggs in the second.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
I love that.
The first 6 rounds. I don't think there was a better draft. The first
6 rounds is an A plus.
First 6 rounds is an A+. Rest of the way, like I like Cordero Patterson. I like Lance, but you already had Hurts, Renfro. I'm not really in on him now that Adams is there, but love Josh Palmer, love Jarvis Landry, love
Lance,
Fryermuth
you
in
the
the 10.
man.
Not a big fan of Ingram as that last pick, just because I don't think he
I don't
has
mind
much
it.
juice.
The same reason you picked Abram
whatever.
Smith, man. I mean,
Exactly.
come on.
I can't really talk that much smack about it. I'll give this one a B.
It's funny you say that because I think this is an A minus for me. If the second half could have been a little bit better, I would have given it an A, and that would have been my top team of the draft. But Mixon, ETN, CPAT, yeah, maybe a little bit more running back depth. If he takes a running back instead of Trey Lance, if instead of Trey Lance it's Isaiah Spiller or Rashad White or Dameon Pierce, I'm definitely giving this an A. I don't mind the Freiermuth pick as a late flyer tight end. The receiver depth is good. The running back depth is just a little bit weak, but the high end talent's there. So it's a B plus to an A minus for me.
Yeah, Diggs, Pittman, Bateman. Oh my goodness. Great. We'll skip the bot. Everyone wants us.
Quick grade for the bot. We got to grade the bot. So right, Swift, fine. Kamara, Montgomery, Harris, Carter. So robust RB. Kamara might be facing a suspension. J-Rob is a terrible pick. And then Joe Burrow at QB. Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford. Didn't need both of those guys. Receivers are Godwin, Kirk. Oh, this is like a D. This team sucks.
This is a D or an F. 2 QBs in Burrow and Stafford.
You're going to be starting Christian Kirk and MVS at receiver.
Oh my, get out of here. I can't look at that anymore. Last one here, we'll wrap it up. Stebbs goes Nick Chubb, Adams to start off. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I actually like his roster construction. Right away here, we see so much blue at the bottom. He could probably swap out a Tony, a Rondell, a Jamison Crowder for a handcuff running back with a little bit more upside. He tried to go after some of that with Penny and Stevenson in the 8th and 9th. Don't hate it there, but you need a little bit more juice, man. You only have 3 running backs. I know we want guys to break out, but you're much better off having a running back secured early off the waivers than a wide receiver secured early if both guys are going to break out, all things considered equal. But I like Kyler back of the 5th. Fantastic value there. Garrett Wilson in the 7th, back of the 7th. Tremendous value. I'm not even in on Penny, but I still think that was a good pick. So I love the values that he got. The roster construction was sound other than going a little bit too heavy on wide receiver.
Yeah, it's another one of these hero running back strategies. I think Chubb was a little bit early there. The upside at receiver, though, is just incredible. Kyler's obviously upside at quarterback. I like Dalton Schultz a ton this season. But the RB2 spot, if you're going to take this build, you're right. I think those 4 blue wide receiver names at the bottom, at least 2 of those need to be running back flyers or handcuffs for me. And this grade would be higher. But for now, I'm going to give it a B minus.
Just for some of that receiver upside. If you swap out Waddle for ETN, this roster goes to a whole new level.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, Steph, pick your favorite roster real quick before we go.
Man. What was the one? I think I got to give it to Kirby. I know we just gave us $5. Shout out to you, Kirby. Appreciate you rocking with us. But, man, I really like the way this roster shook out, especially going Josh Allen early. And the fact that another QB didn't go till the 5th round kind of makes that like more of a premium pick. Like you found the unicorn, you found the diamond in the rough. Allen was actually the right pick there because I think he would have gone a lot earlier and then it would have started a QB run. But the fact that he took him in the 3rd made everyone stay away for a while. Even being out on Dobbins, I still like the way you kind of structured this. So very, very well done, especially with the upside rookies in the 10th and 11th. And then Lazard, Patrick Tolbert, any of those guys, Drake London, all of those guys have massive upside. If even just 2 of those hit, you're golden.
Yeah, really quick for me. I'm gonna shake it up here because I know my highest grades were Cholesterol Fingers, FF Pizza Man, Jim Jean. So those were my highest grades. I love all those teams, but I'm gonna give it to Phil. I'm giving it to Phil the Void. He was a B plus for me. But the more I think about this team, the reason it's my favorite roster is because this is like my style of drafting. I love going robust running back early, filling in wide receiver values later, and then taking that value on a quarterback in the 8th, 9th, 10th round. He did this strategy to perfection. So to me, the only thing I probably would have really liked to see different
Sutton
is
over Kittle.
maybe to your point, another receiver instead of CEH, or even where he took George Kittle. If instead of George Kittle, that's a Mike Williams or that's a DK Metcalf, and then he replaces like, you know, one of his late round players with a Zach Ertz or with a Cole Kmet or somebody like that, the receiver upside is so much higher in my opinion, and that would have really made this roster a little more complete. But he does have the upside with Kittle, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's a good roster, and I think going into a league with that roster, you just have so many chess pieces you can move around with those kind of assets. So good draft, Phil.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all listening and watching. Thanks for staying with us. We went way over time, but it was well worth it. First mock of the year. Plenty more of these to come. Hit the Discord. If you're new to the channel, liking us up, greatly appreciated. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.